Hi, this is George with NS345. Today I'm starting a second mixing video series from start to finish. During my first mixing video series, I received a lot of hits or a lot of views on my first video, which was the session setup part. Interestingly enough, that was the one thing that I struggled with when I first started mixing. I never found any videos where people actually showed you from start to end, from importing the audio, gain staging, and a lot of those terms were just not, I wasn't familiar with. So today I'm looking to expanding on that topic, and maybe not expanding, but maybe just doing it again with a different song. The difference today is going to be that I'm actually going to provide you with the actual stems so that you can follow along on what I'm doing. I am going to be using some stems from a website that's very popular. I think it's just called Cambridge Music Technology. It's a really good website. Um, so by the end of this video, you should feel really confident about starting the mixing process. You know, most mixing engineers still struggle with setting up their session properly. And I just want to qualify this statement. I'm not going to show you how to do it. I'm going to show you how I do it. First thing I want you to do is go to this website, and I'm going to post the link. But if you just want to get ahead of me, it's right here, Cambridge MT. And I'm going to use the song Never Stop right here. So what you need to do is go and click here, and it's going to take you to this. And this song Never Stop is by Jules King. And then you can download. I'm going to use the 29 tracks download, so it can be much easier. So what you need to do, or what I did, is I right-clicked and I put open link in new tab, or download link file, whatever you do. If you're on PC, it'll be a little different. But if you just click that, on my Mac, it does that, and it just starts downloading. Okay, I'm done downloading the files. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put them in my external hard drive. So I'm going to my downloads folder. And let me remove this. Move to trash. Move to trash. Here is the folder with the tracks. If you double click on it, you'll see, you'll notice that although the download link said MP3, it's actually WAV files, which is pretty neat. If you open this up before you do anything, there's a README text file. Open it, and you'll see there a bit of the credits, who did this song. And I'll just read it real quick because I don't want to get into any trouble with anybody. Raw multi-track excerpts from Jules King's Never Stop. The file is provided for educational purposes only, and the material contained in it should not be used for any commercial purpose without the express permission of the copyright holders. Please refer to the Cambridge website for further details. So it's telling you that there is 29 WAV files at 24-bit 44K sampling resolution. And the tempo is 130 beats per minute. So if you're on Mac, go ahead and open up a new window. I'm just going to go back one here. And I'm going to look for my external hard drive. I'm just going to find a folder here. Actually, I'm going to create a new folder because I don't have a... I'm just going to call this Cambridge. By the way, there's a lot of good tracks in there. Get in your folder, right-click, create a new folder. Let's call it Stems. And then create a new folder. Let's call it Project. And actually, let's do this, a new folder, and let's call it Jules King Never Stop 130 BPM project folder. And let's drag the project folder in there. Let's drag the stems so we can keep them separate. Okay, now we have project and stems. I'm gonna open up the stems folder, and I'm just gonna open this up again. Double click. Sorry, Command A. I'm just going to drag them in here. I could have dragged the folder. Okay, files are there. I can now close this. You don't have to delete the files from your downloads folder just yet. You can do it later. So if you go here, you should be able to see everything. Close that. Close this. Close this. Close this. And I'm using Studio One to record my vocal audio just for technical reasons. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I want to check the sample rate and bit depth. The download we did just now did tell you, gives you a text file where it tells you what the sample rate is and the bit depth. But if you don't have that, you can go into the stems, and this is for Mac, unfortunately. If you right click on it, you can say get info, and if you open this up, it'll tell you here 44K 24-bit. Again, right click, get info, 44K 24-bit, and they were nice enough to add a readme text file here, and it tells you the same thing, 24-bit 44K. Close that. So we've done that. Now we're going to create a new session in Pro Tools. I'm going to open up Pro Tools. I'm going to go to create, and I'm going to make sure I'm on 44, 24. Sample rate is 44K, bit depth is 24. I/O settings, you can leave it as last used, or you can just go stereo mix. I usually like starting with a scratch, with an empty I/O setup. So I'm going to name this Jules King Never Stop. I'm going to find a location. Now I already created a folder, so I'm just going to go to there, Cambridge, Jules King, and I'm going to put it here in the project so it's nice and clean. Open, and you can add the BPM just in case you need it later, and you will. So now it is empty. Now I'm going to import the audio. I'm going to go to my Finder. Okay, so there's two ways that you can do this. You can go to your Finder, or you can go to File, Import, and do it there. I'm going to show you my way. And my way is going back to where I downloaded the tracks, or where I store the tracks. Projects, Cambridge. Here's my stems. I'm going to grab all of these except the text file. Okay, I'm just going to drag in here. While everything is here, click on the all. Select the first one. Make sure you highlight all the way out. And these are not the full files. Later on, we can download the full files. Drag it all the way to the left. Now, if you want to see all of them, just like that, I hit Option A. I didn't realize it was in the full files, honestly. Okay, so after this, you're going to have to go and download the full, or while you're there, download the full files. Okay, but this is just an excerpt, but this is good enough for this video. Deselect all, the all group. Okay, now we're going to organize the tracks. Now, you could do this various ways, but before I do that, let me just make sure there's... Okay, there is sound. Let's organize the tracks. I like using the track section here, the track window. It's just a lot easier for me to do it than doing it here, because I can read the entire name. So, I see there's electric guitars there. They're already together. There's a Rhodes, a synth, a lead vocal, and a backing vocal. Okay, so there's my kick, snare, hi-hat 2, cymbal wash, cymbal, okay, bass, electric guitar, Rode, synths, lead vocal, vacuum. And actually, looks like they're pretty well organized. And the reason for that is they actually named everything using a sequential number, which is nice. And I need to do a video about exporting stems later to make it easier for mixing engineers. This is why they're in order, so it was a lot easier for me to do this. But if they were not in order, you can just select your tracks and move them around here, and it actually moves them here. Symbol 4, where was this at? Symbol 4, symbol 3, 4, right there. Okay. Now I'm going to color code the tracks. Go to kick. And the reason why you want to color code is just easier to find your tracks. And I think the last, I don't know what this, I'm just going to color code from there all the way to there. I'm going to click here. I like my drums red. Then I'm going to leave the bass alone. Then I'm going to do electric guitars, and it looks like it goes up to 24, which is here. Double click. Now I'm going to do those, let's do that funky orange. I don't care too much about those colors. I usually do drums red, vocals green. The instruments, Rhodes and synths, I'll group them in the same, I'll color code them the same way. And actually, I'm just going to leave them blue, save some of the colors. And the vocals, I'm going to do them green. That green? Yeah, that green is good. Okay, now I'm going to do gain staging. All right, so this is where it gets tricky, and this is where a lot of people have questions. All right, so what I want to do, so if you notice right now, look at my meters. Make sure you're on pre-fader metering. If you notice, it's not too bad, but you want your meters to be averaging right where the green breaks, the green and the yellow. Why do you do this? This is so that you can give yourself enough headroom. Because what happens is people will start mixing right there, and all of a sudden they run out of headroom. Then they start asking, you know, can I put a limiter on my mix bus? Can I put a limiter on my bus? Can I do that? And gain staging is going to help you open up the amount of headroom that you have. Again, just to get a visual. Notice number 2, the snare, seems to be pretty hot. Now those are just peaks. You have to use a little bit of common sense. But again, if you focus on where the green breaks with the yellow, or right at minus 18 dBFS, then you're in a good spot. That will be a good spot for you to leave the levels of your tracks. So let's start. And I don't do it here. I cannot do it here, but I can do it here. You can do this various ways. The way I do it is I use the clip gain function in Pro Tools. If you're using another DAW, you can use the same thing, or you can use a trim plugin where you actually reduce the actual signal the way it was recorded going in. You're not reducing the volume, it's the actual signal, okay? So let's start with the kick. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep it simple. I'm just going to focus on these meters right here. And then actually, how do I want to do it? I want to show you how to do it. Okay, let's do it this way. Let me move this window a little bit. And then let's, this is one thing I like about Studio One, how you have your windows here. But there's no like button Pro Tools that can do that. But that's okay. That's how Pro Tools is, and I love Pro Tools. I'm gonna make this bigger to cover Studio One there, since I'm talking about Studio One. And I'm probably gonna make this a little bigger there. And let's create a window configuration called new configuration, and let's just call it gain staging. All right, see if it works. Oh yeah. Okay, so if I change this window, and I want to go back to the way I had it before, I just click on gain staging because I created it. Now basically you see track number 1 here, track number 1 there, and I'm gonna look at the meter here and the meter here, likely just here. You can use this one as well, but I'll show you 2 methods today. And actually you don't need to hear the track volume. Okay, you could do it without it. Right now I'm going for a visual, okay, just a visual. Number 2 is the one that's pretty hot. Number three is pretty low, so I'm going to bring that one up. Number 4. 4 is pretty good, maybe just a touch. Another little touch. Number 6. And this is also going to help because once your faders are at unity, right at the 0 mark here, the signals will be right around there. So basically you're just going to have to lower the fader. You're not going to have to raise the fader. If the signals were over here really low, then you would have to raise the fader. So that's also going to help you out. Let me repeat that. If your levels are too low, like where's another one? Like this one here, then you're going to have to bring your fader all the way up to try and get it up here. But if your levels are right where the line breaks, then your fader relationship to the level is going to be pretty close. Because remember, the lower the fader goes down here, the less resolution you have, and the amount of gain that you apply when you're down here, it's a lot greater than what you apply here. When you move it up here, you can actually move it 1 dB, 2 dBs. When you start going down here, you're actually looking at 2 to 3 dBs at a time. Looking at track number 7. Eight. Nine. Nine's okay. 10. 11. It's pretty hot, but if you notice, the right side is hotter. These are going to be pretty loud anyways because it looks like a lot. The symbol may just be swells like effects. 12 is pretty hot. Okay, bass 13. 14, electric guitar 1. 15. 16. It's pretty good. 17 is pretty good. 18 and 19 are pretty good. 19 just a touch. Now you can also become really pedantic about this and just want it perfect, but you don't have to. 21 and 22 are hotter than I would want them. Then they're going to start robbing me of my gain staging joy. Okay. 25, the Rhodes is pretty hot. Now this is not perfect. You're going to be tweaking when you start to mix. 26, I want to raise it up just a little bit. 27. And I'm looking here at 27. I'm also looking here. Now I'm going to look at the lead vocal. Very important. I'm going to look for the loudest part. 28. That's good. Backing vocal. So they're about right. Okay. Click all. Option click. Okay, notice that my meters are right at the break point. That's the average. Did you notice this peak on 6 just now? You can do those manually. Let's see, where was it at? Right, because what's going to happen there, if you're going to have to keep putting compression and stuff in. Let's go to this one. Hit your little handy thing. What is it called? Selection. Grabber tool. Just expand a little bit more. Oops. Bring it over here. Let's just bring that down. Like that. Now watch. Yep. Not a lot. Okay, so all my meters look pretty good. Oh, need my notes. Okay, gain staging. Now I'm going to set up buses and stems. Okay, so this is so I'm going to set up my routing now, okay? I'm going to go ahead and set up my routing now. And I'm not even going to start to mix yet, okay? So we're just going to route the tracks, get it all set up to the way we're going to mix, all right? So just kind of follow along. Click on your first track. Select your last track on that group. I'm going to select number 12, so 1 through 12. Now hold Shift and Option. Click on the last one, and you're going to say new, there are no buses set up, but you could say new track. We're going to call it uppercase drums. Okay, we're going to come back to the bass because this is just one track. Then I'm going to select all my electric guitars. Shift Option, click on the output section of the last track, new track, electric guitars, or you can call it e-guitars, so you can see the whole thing. And this is an auxiliary, a stereo auxiliary. By clicking on the last one, it's going to set it next to the current track. Now the instruments, I'm going to put them all in one bus. Select all the tracks. Shift Option. Output section of the last track. New track. Call it instruments. Okay, and let's leave the lead vocal and the backing vocal towards the end. Now I've created 3 buses. I've created a drum bus. Now you want to solo save that drum bus. Let's solo save all our buses. Solo save. Solo save. The next bus you want to create is your mix bus. This is where everything's going to be summed to. So I'm going to create an auxiliary stereo track. And I'm going to call it mix bus. I'm going to make the input of this bus 1 and 2. Then I'm going to rename it mix bus. The output 1 and 2 monitors 1 and 2. Now I'm going to go back to my drum bus and I'm going to click on the output section and I'm going to create a new track and I'm going to call it drum lowercase s. This is my drum stem. I'm not sending my drum bus to the mix bus. I'm sending my drum bus to my drum stem, which I'm then going to send to the mix bus. This is also a stereo auxiliary input. Okay, here's my drum stem, and I'm going to put these next to the mix bus as I go. Then I'm going to do my electric guitars. So I'm only working with the stereo tracks just now, or the stereo buses. I'm going to go to the output section of my electric guitars. I'm going to create a new track, and I'm going to call it git lowercase s for stem, stereo auxiliary input. I'm also going to bring this over here. All right, now I'm going to bring my instruments. I'm going to route it to new track, stereo auxiliary input, inst lowercase s, so that it just tells my brain that that's a stem. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the mono tracks. Now I'm going to send the bass. I'm not going to send it to a bus group because I don't have 2 basses like a DI and a mic. I'm going to send this directly to a stem. Now I could just send it directly to the mix bus, but that will limit my possibilities for modification later on down the mix. I'm only limited to that specific track. So by adding a stem, I'm able to have all my groups together, and I'll show you at the end, but it'll give me more freedom, and I'll explain to you what I mean. So I'm going to click on the output of my bass track, new track, and I'm going to send it to a bass S, and I'm going to make this a mono auxiliary input. I'm going to bring it over there. Now I'm going to do a same thing for the lead vocal and the background vocal. This is a little extra, but it'll help you in the end. Well, it helps me. I'm not saying it's going to help you. I don't ever want to tell you what to do. And the lead vocal, I'm going to do it a stereo because my reverbs and all of that are going to be stereo. So I'm going to just call it lead V lowercase s. Okay, and then bring that over there. Then my backing vocal, same thing, new track, BGV lowercase s, stereo auxiliary. Okay, so I'm just gonna put them in the order that I see them here. I see my drum bus being the first one, then my the bass, which is where to go? Sorry, drums, bass. Then I have electric guitars. Then I have the instruments. Lastly, I have the lead vocal and the BGVs. Okay, and I'm gonna change the color on these to a color that I like a little better. I think I usually do those like yellow. Okay, now I'm gonna select all of my stems. Before I do the routing, let's solo save all of them. To solo save, you press Command and click. Okay, click on the solo button. All right, so I'm gonna move my mix bus over here, just because that's where I like it. And then next to my mix bus, I'm gonna create a master track, which is a stereo auxiliary, stereo master fader. I'm gonna create one. So my mix bus and my master fader, I always make them red. Okay, now we're gonna test our setup. Nothing going to the mix bus, right? So now I need to select 35 through 40, which are my stems. And I'm gonna shift option, and then I'm gonna click on whatever output section of either channel on my stems. And I'm gonna look for my mix bus because I created it. It's gonna show up on my list here, mix bus. So now everything was routed to the mix bus here. So when I play it, we should see a level here. Okay, so we've just successfully set up the buses and the stems. Next thing you want to do is you want to insert a meter plugin. If you don't have one, you can use your Pro Tools meter still. But I have the VUMT by Clanhelm, and I'm going to use the solo one. And because I have a lot of real estate screen space, I'm going to bring it here. I'm going to open this up so it's always there for me. Put it here at the bottom. And I also use the Brainworks BX digital meter, which I'm also going to insert on my master track. Where is it at? BX meter. Take the, if you click here, now I can get both of them open like that. I don't know what that button's called, but the target button. There you go. Okay, so I'm gonna select the standard, and I think it's got factory default. I like the green. Left, right, green, fixed. K12. No, where is it at? Where is it at? Where is it at? Standard, left, right, green float. This one I like. It's working. So I don't need to see the tracks just now, but I'm gonna do this. How about if I do this for now? If I go here, you know, I'm a aesthetics type of guy. Okay, I need to increase the size of this one. I'm also gonna drag that over here. And I have my VU meter calibrated to -18. Okay, so now this will give us an idea of where we are in terms of levels. So at the end of my mix, I want the final level of my mix to be at -18 dBFS. In this case, on my VU meter, -18 dBFS is right here on the 0. Hey, if you don't have this meter, go and buy it. It's so cheap. It's like $9. Okay, and then the average level on this one is right at -14, somewhere around there. Okay, so right now it's too hot already. Even if I start mixing now, everything that I send to plugins is gonna be clipping. Okay. So my next video, I'm going to talk about how to fix that and what happens as we start the mixing process. So I just want to review what we did just now. Okay, so again, by the end of this video, you should feel really confident about starting the mixing process. Primarily, a lot of people struggle with setting up their session properly. Okay, this is the way I do it. So the first thing that we did is we downloaded the multi-tracks. We put them in an external hard drive folder. We checked the sample rate and the bit depth. We created a new session. We imported the audio. We organized the tracks. We color-coded the tracks. We gain staged the tracks. Now and then finally we set up the buses as stems. and we inserted some meter plugins so that we can see where our levels reside. Okay, so I'm looking forward to video number 2. Don't forget to go back to the website, to the Cambridge website, and download the full stem so that when we start mixing it, you guys can follow along. Where is it? Free online mixing resources. I don't know where it went. Okay, here it is. I think it is mixing. Where is the free multi-track projects? Okay. Okay, so go to the Never Stop, and here download the full multi-track, and it should sound something like this. How about I leave you with that? Again, I'm George with NS345, and I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please, please, please leave me some comments. I really want to improve the way I do my videos, and I really want to help people. The one thing that I want to say, though, is go out there and help somebody today. Please don't be like those people that don't like to help other people. Go out there and help somebody. Thank you.
You were so close, I could breathe you in. Hear you calling my name, feel the touch of your skin. Now I torture myself